AITA for refusing to help the family who kicked me out after I was hospitalized? My name is Jenna. I am 32 years old and I work for a construction firm, supervising building sites. For 6 years I've been moving from project to project, ensuring everything is up to code, that no corners are cut, and that nobody takes foolish risks on the job. My life before the crash was pretty stable. I'd wake up early, head to the site, and come back exhausted to wrap up any pending paperwork. Except for the past few months I wasn't coming back to my own home. My house had been under renovation for 2 months, the kind of project that starts with, let's just update the kitchen, and ends with a fine layer of dust in every drawer and exposed wiring everywhere. The contractor assured me it was going well, but my only updates were the photos he sent. The living room shrouded in plastic, dust motes dancing in the sunbeams. That's why I asked my parents if I could stay with them for a while at their house in a quiet suburb just outside the city. They agreed, but from the start their yes came with a tone that meant, "Don't get too comfortable, you're staying but you'll pitch in," as my mom warned. And pitching in didn't mean splitting the costs, it meant covering everything: electricity, water, gas, groceries. Since I needed a reliable internet connection to send reports and blueprints, I upgraded their service to a better package. That alone increased my expenses by between $800 and $1,200 a month. I swallowed the cost, telling myself the same old excuse: their family. My sister's name is Megan. She's 35, married to Kevin, and they have a 5-year-old son, Leo. Megan works part-time at an agency and constantly talks about how exhausted she is, how there aren't enough hours in the day, how nobody helps her. Kevin sells insurance and carries himself as if the world owes him something just for breathing. And every weekend, whenever they wanted a date night, a long lunch, or just a break, Leo ended up with me. Leo is a sweet, affectionate kid. It wasn't his fault, but the pattern was undeniable. The moment I walked through their door with my suitcase, I became the permanent, unpaid, on-call babysitter. My parents are in their 60s. My dad retired from the USPS and now divides his time between watching the news, switching to whatever game is on, and disappearing into his tool shed as if it were a separate universe. My mom, who worked for years as an office assistant, has always been the type to manage everything, including things that are none of her business. They aren't living in luxury, but they're comfortable. Even so, from the day I arrived, money became a daily topic of conversation. I didn't feel like a daughter, I felt like a tenant, and a particularly compliant one at that. That Tuesday began like any other. A quick cup of coffee, a scan of my emails, a couple of texts to my contractor, and then I was on my way to a high-rise construction site downtown. The site manager was expecting me at 10. I left early to beat the traffic, but for the first time in months, the expressway was already jammed. I was actually running a bit ahead of schedule. On the drive, my thoughts drifted to my house. The day before, the contractor had sent photos of the kitchen. The new countertops were installed, gleaming and beautiful. I pictured myself arranging my things, starting the coffee maker in my own space, and having a couple of friends over to break it in. A strange sense of joy washed over me, as if a weight was finally lifting from my chest. At a major intersection, the light turned green. I pressed the accelerator to move forward, and then everything went black. I don't remember the impact, the sound of metal crunching, or whether the other car ran a red light. I only remember the radio playing, my hand on the steering wheel, and then nothing at all. When I woke up, the world was white and smelled of antiseptic. A steady beeping came from somewhere nearby. My head felt thick and heavy, as if stuffed with cotton. I tried to move, but my left side didn't cooperate. It was a confusing mix of numbness and a deep throbbing ache. I saw tubes and wires connected to me and 4-line in my hand. A nurse noticed my eyes were open and hurried out of the room. She returned with an older doctor, his hair graying at the temples, his expression serious, the kind that never precedes good news. "Miss Jenna, I'm Dr. Evans," he said, looking at a clipboard. "You were in an accident 3 days ago. Do you remember anything?" 3 days, I managed to say, my voice a hoarse, unfamiliar whisper. "No, I don't remember." "You have several significant injuries. We've already performed 2 surgeries," he continued, his tone direct. "One for an injury to your spleen and another to control internal bleeding. Additionally, your left arm sustained a compound fracture. We've stabilized it, but you'll need another procedure to install plates to set it properly. You also have 3 cracked ribs. I stared at him, my mind struggling to process the information. 3 days lost, 2 surgeries done, and another one pending. Did you contact my family? I asked. My mom, has anyone been here? The doctor glanced at his notes. The emergency contact in your phone was called. Your mother answered. She sounded fine, almost casual. She asked how long you'd be hospitalized because they had plans for the weekend, and she needed to know how they were going to manage. I felt my stomach clench, a feeling that cut through the haze of medication. And anyone else? I pressed. Your office has called several times. Your coworkers have been asking about you. From your family so far, no one has come to visit. I asked for my phone. They brought it to me, the screen shattered but still functional. With a trembling finger I scrolled through my messages, each one sending a fresh chill through me. From my mom, Jenna. Your accident completely ruined our weekend. We were supposed to go see your Aunt Carol. And you were going to watch Leo. Now Megan has to find someone else. This puts Megan in a real bind. From Kevin. Thanks for nothing. Now I have to pay a babysitter because you can't be bothered to drive safely. From Megan. This is so messed up, Jenna. You've inconvenienced all of us. I stared at the screen. There was no, how are you? No, we're so glad you're alive. Just complaints, as if my broken body was a failed appointment in their calendar. I opened the family group chat. 12 new messages, all from the past 3 days. My mom. Honestly, Jenna has really crossed a line. My dad. So what are we supposed to do with the boy now? Megan. I can't believe she didn't think about how this affects us. Kevin. Well, yeah, she should have been more careful. My mom. Now we either cancel our trip or pay someone, and that costs money. Megan. She's always been selfish, but this is a new low. I read the messages twice, not because I didn't understand them, but because some part of me refused to believe it. No one had asked about my condition, no one had wished me well. They were just angry that my accident had disrupted their plans. I slowly typed a reply. I'm alive, in case anyone had any doubts. I hit send. If they couldn't be bothered to ask, I wasn't going to offer them any peace of mind. Lying in that hospital bed, tethered by tubes and filled with pain, I started recalling incidents I had always brushed aside, as if my brain had suddenly stopped making excuses for them. Last Christmas, for instance. I had saved for months to buy them thoughtful gifts. I got my dad a power tool he'd been eyeing, my mom a pair of earrings she had pointed out in a shop window, a spa package for Megan, and a remote control monster truck for Leo that made his face light up. And my gift from them? A $50 gift card without so much as a card. Meanwhile, my mom gave Megan a weekend getaway at a nice hotel, breakfast included. When Megan opened my spa gift, she frowned. Oh, I was hoping for the one at that other fancier place. I also remembered the day I got a major promotion. I left the office buzzing with excitement and called to share the news. My mom's response was, "That's nice, honey. Listen, since you'll be making more, can you help Megan out with her car payment? She's behind again." Not a single congratulations or "we're so proud of you." Just a direct line to my wallet. That was the pattern. When Megan was short on cash, they called me. When Megan's car broke down, they called me. When my dad needed extensive dental work, they called me. But when I moved into my house 3 years ago and asked for help with a few heavy boxes, they were all busy. I ended up hiring movers. And always, I was met with the same subtle poison, guilt. If I said I couldn't watch Leo because of a work deadline, Megan would lay it on thick. Family is never a priority for you, is it? If I explained I couldn't lend money because I was saving for my renovation, my mom would give me the silent treatment, as if I were a terrible daughter for not bankrolling their lives. But on that day, reading those texts while my body was broken, it all clicked into place. I wasn't being overly sensitive. They had been using my time, my money, and my energy for years. And the moment I fell, they didn't even bother to look down. Several more days passed in the hospital. During that first week, my coworkers visited. Sarah from accounting brought me magazines and a fruit basket. Mike from the engineering department brought flowers and helped me organize my bedside table. My boss stopped by, telling me not to worry about work and to focus on my recovery, adding that he had already been contacted by the insurance company. My friends came too. Jessica, my best friend, brought me homemade cookies and sat with me for hours, talking in a low voice so I wouldn't get tired. They all asked the normal, caring questions. How are you feeling? Do you need anything? Who's going to help you when you get out? My parents? Nothing. Not a single visit. The only message from my mom came on a Thursday. Don't forget to transfer the money for the utilities. The electric bill was higher this month. I was fresh out of my second surgery with cracked ribs and an arm I could barely move. And still I made the transfer. I sent them the money because that was who I was. The one who fixed things, the one who paid, the one who swallowed her anger to keep the peace. In the second week, Dr. Evans came to discuss the surgery on my arm. He talked about plates, screws, physical therapy, and recovery timelines, patiently answering all my questions. A complete stranger was treating me with more care and respect than my own family. Do you have someone to help you at home when you're discharged? He asked. You're going to need support for the first few weeks. I'll figure it out, I said, thinking to myself. I certainly can't count on them. The surgery went well. I woke up with my arm in a heavy cast and a profound exhaustion that made my eyelids feel like lead. The doctor said everything looked stable and that if I continued to improve, I could be discharged by the end of the week. That same day I spoke with my contractor. He answered immediately. Jenna, I heard what happened. How are you? Even he asked. I'm hanging in there, I told him. How's the house? Good news, he said. We're actually ahead of schedule. I'll send you some pictures. A moment later, my phone buzzed with images of my living room with its new floors, freshly painted walls, and the completed kitchen. It looked like a real home. I felt something I hadn't felt since the accident. Genuine joy. When will it be completely ready? I asked. End of next week, maybe even sooner, he said. We'll have it professionally cleaned for you. For the first time since waking up in that sterile white room, a thought took root in my mind. I don't have to go back to my parents' house. I can go from the hospital straight to my own home. A couple of days later, a nurse came into my room with a strange expression. Your sister is here, she said. And she looks upset. Before I could process it, Megan swept into the room like a storm. Her face was flushed, her eyes hard. I cannot believe how selfish you are, she snapped, her voice loud in the quiet room. I stared at her, bewildered. Excuse me. I went to the clinic today for my procedure, she said. The one I've been planning for months. And they told me that because of your accident, our insurance situation is a mess. They're saying that with your massive claim, they're requiring prepayment for my procedure until everything is sorted out. Do you have any idea how much that costs out of pocket? They quoted me between $10,000 and $13,000. I blinked, feeling the air leave my lungs, not from pain but from sheer disbelief. Are you serious right now? I said. Of course I'm serious. I don't have that kind of money, and this is all your fault. I was silent for a few seconds, then spoke slowly, each word an effort against my aching ribs. Megan, I almost died. Well, yeah, but it wasn't that serious, she said with a dismissive wave of her hand. You can be so dramatic sometimes. Maybe you didn't need so many surgeries. The blood rushed to my face. I had internal bleeding, I told her. They rushed me into emergency surgery. Okay, but you could have just done the bare minimum, she insisted. You didn't have to use up so much of the insurance coverage. In that moment, something inside me shattered. Something that had been cracked for a very long time. Get out, I said. What did you say to me? Get out, I repeated, my voice stronger. I don't want you in here. Megan stepped toward me, her face a mask of indignation. I'm going to tell Mom how you're treating me. And you owe me that money. Get out, I said a third time. She spun around and stormed out. Using my good hand, I pressed the call button for the nurse and asked her to add my mother, my father, and Megan to a list of people who were not authorized to visit me. I never wanted to see them in my hospital room again. That afternoon my phone buzzed incessantly. It was my mom call after call. I ignored them. Then came the text. Jenna. Megan told me what happened. That was incredibly rude. Your sister is devastated. How could you kick her out when she's going through such a hard time? Call me immediately. I deleted the message. The absurdity was staggering. I was the one with a battered body, fresh out of surgery, and somehow she was the victim because her elective procedure was inconvenienced. The next few days were blissfully quiet, free of drama. It was just me, my physical therapist, and my friends. The doctor discharged me on a Friday. I was both happy and nervous. The cast was heavy and I couldn't carry anything, not even my purse. I didn't bother telling my family. What was the point? I called Jessica. Before I left, I sent one final message to the family group chat. I'm being discharged today. That was it. No request, no expectation. Jessica arrived with flowers and a huge smile. She helped me walk slowly to her car, carefully adjusting the seatbelt so it wouldn't press on my ribs, treating me as if I were made of glass. So what's the plan? She asked as we pulled away. Are you going to your parents? Only to get my things, I said. Then straight to my house. It's ready. Seriously. Her face lit up. That's amazing. And one more thing, I added. I am never staying with them again. Jessica squeezed my good hand as if to say, it's about time. When we pulled up to my parents' house, I knew instantly something was wrong. Black trash bags were piled on the curb, some of them torn open, as if the contents of a room had been unceremoniously dumped outside. What is all that? Jessica asked, her voice low. I got out of the car and walked to the first bag. I pulled at the ripped plastic and saw one of my blouses. In the next, a book. Then my work binder. My blood ran cold. The front door opened and they all came out. My mom, my dad, Megan, and Kevin. They stood there, a united front, as if they were the injured party. What is this? I asked, gesturing to the bags. Why is my stuff on the curb? My mom crossed her arms. We've decided we can't do this anymore, she said coldly. You're becoming too expensive for us. With the accident, everything's changed. The insurance premiums are going to skyrocket, and we can't take on that burden. And your sister can't get her issue sorted out. It's better if you just find somewhere else to go. I laughed. It wasn't a laugh of amusement, but of pure, unadulterated disbelief. You're kicking me out, I said. Right now with my arm in a cast. You've been a problem, my mom stated. And rude, Megan added. I turned to look at her. Rude, I repeated. You came to my hospital room to scream at me about an insurance claim, while I was recovering from major surgery. My dad cleared his throat. It's just that you could have been treated in a more moderate way, he mumbled, as if discussing brands of cereal. Moderate, I echoed, the anger rising in my throat. They operated on me so I wouldn't die. That's what you wanted me to, moderate? Kevin chimed in with his slick salesman voice. You have to understand, Jenna, the policy isn't unlimited, he said. It affects all of us. All of us. I shot back. It affected all of you that I was unconscious for 3 days. My mom took a step forward, her chin high. We took you in when you needed a place, she said. We gave you a roof over your head, and this is how you repay us. With ingratitude. This isn't how family is supposed to act. What a disgrace. That word, ingratitude, hit me hard. As if I had been the burden. I looked at them and a cold, clean clarity washed over me. A roof, I said. I've been paying for everything in this house. You paid because you were living here, my mom retorted. Utilities, groceries. That's what adults do. And the high-speed internet? I added. The premium package I signed up for. Well, she said, waving it away. We still gave you a room. Jessica, staying out of the direct line of fire, was already loading my bags into her car, moving with a quiet urgency. I've got everything, she whispered to me. Let's go. I looked at them one last time. At my mom, who couldn't be bothered to visit me once. At my dad, who couldn't meet my gaze. At Megan, who seemed more upset about a cosmetic whim than my life-threatening injuries. Do you know what the saddest part is? I said to them. I actually thought you loved me. My mom opened her mouth, but no words came out. I spent years trying to be the good daughter, the good sister. I kept thinking if I just gave enough, helped enough, paid enough, one day you would finally treat me like I was part of the family. But you never did. Megan sneered. Are you done with the melodrama? She muttered. You left me alone in the hospital, I said, my voice steady. And the moment I got out, you threw me away like trash. That's not family. My mom made a weak attempt to defend herself. It's not that we don't love you, Jenna. Yes, it is, I replied. You just don't have the courage to say it out loud. I got into the car, and as Jessica drove away, I watched them in the rearview mirror, the four of them standing beside my empty, torn bags on the sidewalk, as if still waiting for me to come back and beg. Are you okay? Jessica asked gently. I took a deep breath. My ribs ached, but I breathed through it. Yeah, I said. I think I am. We arrived at my house, and the sight of it made my throat tighten. The new paint, the clean windows, it smelled of fresh starts. It looked like a real home. My home. Jessica got me settled on the sofa, made me some simple soup, and stayed until she was sure I could get around without feeling dizzy. After she left, I sat alone in the quiet living room, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. There was no one there to ask me for money, no one demanding a favor, no one wielding the word family like a weapon. I picked up my phone and did what I should have done long ago. First, I called my insurance provider. I'd like to remove some dependents from my policy, I said. I had added them years ago since my job offered excellent benefits and I wanted to help them out. The agent on the line was polite and efficient. In less than 30 minutes, my mother, my father, and Megan were no longer covered by my plan. I was informed they would receive a notice in the mail. Next, I logged into my bank account and canceled the automatic bill pay for their utilities. Then I called the internet company. The premium package was in my name, so I requested a cancellation, effective at the end of the current billing cycle. Each action felt like loosening a knot in my chest. 3 days later, a call came from an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Jenna, my mother's voice trembled on the other end. Why did we get a letter saying we're no longer on your health insurance? Because I removed you, I replied calmly. There was a pause. But why? She asked, her tone one of genuine confusion. We're family. I let out a soft, humorless laugh. Family, I repeated. When I was in a hospital bed, you were worried about your weekend plans. When I was discharged, you kicked me out. That's not family. You're being resentful, she said, her voice hardening as she tried to regain control. This isn't like you. No, this is me, I answered. The only difference is, I'm not putting up with it anymore. Your father needs his medication, she said, her voice rising in panic. I do too. And now without that insurance. You should have thought of that when you decided I was too expensive, I told her. Those were your words. Jenna, please. I'm also no longer paying for your utilities, I added. Or your internet. It's done. You kicked me out, remember? You said I cost too much. Well, congratulations. Now I cost you nothing. I hung up the phone and blocked the number. The following weeks were dedicated to healing. Physical therapy for my arm, short walks that grew longer each day, sleeping and eating well. My job was incredible, allowing me to work from home until I was strong enough to be back on a construction site. My friends remained a quiet, steady presence. 2 months after I left the hospital, I was fully cleared by my doctors. My arm, though scarred, was strong again. I felt different, lighter. I also received the insurance settlement from the accident. It was a substantial amount, not enough to make me a millionaire, but more than enough for something I had never done. Spend it on myself. I started looking at vacation packages to a resort in Florida, all-inclusive, with a spa and plenty of rest. I pictured myself sitting by the ocean, my phone turned off, with no obligations to anyone. And then another unknown number rang. I answered on impulse. Jenna, my mom said, her voice thick with tears. I need you, please. No, I replied instantly. You don't even know what it is. I don't care, I said. The answer is no. My mom sobbed. I have to have knee surgery, she blurted out. The doctor says it's urgent, but without your insurance, I can't afford a private hospital. They're telling me it will cost between $20,000 and $25,000 for everything. I was quiet for a moment, not out of pity, but at the sheer irony. Pay for it yourself, I said. With what? She cried. We don't have that kind of money. Jenna, this is my health we're talking about. Oh, I replied. So now health matters. This is serious, she insisted. I could have trouble walking for the rest of my life if I don't get this surgery. When I was in the hospital, you said I was being dramatic, I reminded her. You said I ruined your weekend, and then you threw my belongings on the curb. I'm your mother, Jenna. I took a deep breath. No, I said, my voice firm. A mother doesn't abandon her injured child. A mother doesn't prioritize one daughter's vanity project over the other's well-being. You left me completely alone when I needed you the most. You're being cruel, she whispered. I am treating you with the exact same level of concern you showed me, I replied. That's all. I hung up and blocked that number too. A month after that call, I ran into my Aunt Carol at the grocery store. I was picking out apples, my arm free of its cast, the scar the only reminder of what had happened. She saw me and approached, an uncomfortable expression on her face. Jenna, how are you? I heard about your accident. I'm fine, Aunt Carol, I told her. I'm all recovered. That's good, she said, then lowered her voice. I also heard about your mother. What about her? I asked. She had the surgery, but at a public hospital, she said. She couldn't afford a private one, and I guess there were complications. They're saying she might need another operation to fix it. My aunt looked at me, clearly expecting me to crumble, to react with the old familiar guilt. But I felt nothing. Not sadness, not joy, just a profound and peaceful quiet inside. That's a shame, I said, my voice sincere but distant. I hope it works out for her. My aunt's eyes widened in shock. Jenna, she's your mother. You can't just act like this is nothing. I looked at her calmly. I'm sorry, Aunt Carol, I told her. But I have to take care of myself now. When I almost died, nobody was there for me. You can't ask me to carry their burdens anymore. But family is family, she insisted. Family shows up when it matters, I said. And they didn't. I picked up my shopping basket, wished her a good day and walked away. That weekend I booked the trip. Florida, all-inclusive, spa treatments, massages, delicious food, and a room where no one would knock on my door to ask for something. I sat in my newly renovated living room, my house silent and still, and looked at photos of the ocean on my laptop. For the first time in my adult life, I felt truly happy without a trace of guilt. My phone was quiet, my money was my own, and my time belonged to me. Some might say I'm resentful, that I'm harsh, that I've changed. But I know the truth. 4 years I gave that family everything I had. My money, my weekends, my energy, my patience. And when they saw me broken, they couldn't even be bothered to visit. I'm not bitter. I'm free. And very soon I'll be even freer, with my feet in the sand, breathing in the salt air, no longer carrying the weight of anyone else's problems. Comment. I hope this story serves as a gentle reminder that your peace is worth protecting. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, but about respecting yourself enough to create a safe space. Your kindness is a precious resource. Invest it where it is valued, starting with yourself. True support often comes from the people who choose to show up, not just those who feel obligated to do so. Healing truly begins when we stop waiting for an apology and start creating the life we deserve. It is not your job to carry the weight of other people's choices, especially when it costs you your own well-being. Letting go doesn't have to be a dramatic event. Sometimes it is the quiet choice to no longer participate in dynamics that drain you. The space you create by removing what hurts is meant to be filled with joy and self-respect. Remember to be as kind and patient with your own heart as you are with others. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.